man. So Manchester United are back in the Champions League after a 2-year absence. They can't be caught now in those top 5 places, and they're hunting down, securing 3rd place with Manchester City, maybe even in their sights as well for now. Liverpool in 4th still have work to do to get over the line, because Bournemouth beat Crystal Palace by 3-0, so the gap is only 6 points. Bournemouth behind Aston Villa, who play later, and Liverpool with 3 games left of the season and 9 points still up for grabs.
Too many sort of familiar problems today. I mean, obviously the injuries, which you can't do too much about, but the conceding from the set piece. I think you said, as always, or again, it's switching off at a moment where you've got back to 2-2 and it's a late-ish goal you've conceded once more.
Yeah, I don't think anyone expected maybe us to lose that game after the 2-2, although if you look at our whole season, maybe you do, because you know that usually when a team comes back to 2-2 and is that well into the game, so they're playing that well, then usually the expectation is more that that team would score. But as has shown so many times this season, when we are playing well and we are coming back into the game, or we think we are able to win it, then in one moment we switch off, and Cross being given 2 goals where we didn't win the header at the second post, and the ball fell for Menu, and a great finish from him.
Any complaints about the second goal? I'm guessing not. You haven't raised it, but I mean, if you really magnify it, it looks like it probably does brush his fingertips.
Yeah, if it is a touch, it's never a lot, of course. And then you can argue, if you just watch football, you can argue, should it be disallowed? Then yes or no, if the touch is so light. But yeah, if it was a touch, then it should have been disallowed. But I don't think. I want to focus on how we conceded that second goal, because that's where we can do better. But in the end, then if you concede it and the VAR is going to check it, then we all know this season what the outcome for Liverpool is.
So longer term then, led by you, next season, how do you fix some of these familiar failings that we feel like we've seen throughout this campaign?
Yeah, I think the margins are not so big between us being able to win a game like this and not. And I know quite clearly what we need to improve. And we are already working these weeks hard on that, because we have a bit more training time now. And as you said, the same issues mainly come back, and that's not a complete surprise, because there's not a lot you can change during the season. Of course, tactically and these kind of things you can change, certain things. But for me, it's quite clear where we have to improve, and we will improve next season.
Yeah. Can you share some of that with us?
Nope.
No, that's unlike you. You're as honest a manager as there is in terms of sharing that kind of thing. So why not this time?
Yeah, because that doesn't make sense to share that this time.
Me, what's concerning is the consistency of counter-attacks that they've been conceding of late. No one really in the midfield or in the attack, you could say, who are stopping the play from the higher up in the pitch, and the identity is just not there. I think that they need to build a team that is in Arne's identity, but right now I'm not quite sure what that is, to be fair, because before we knew with Jurgen, okay, cool, high press. I think with Arne, we're seeing a possession-based team who are slightly more methodical, but when you look at the statistics, we're looking at last season, Mo had an unreal year. This year now, if you look at the statistics of the team, and the stats are way down across the board. So my biggest concern is I don't want this team to just be reliant on... You kind of want phases of play. And I think right now when you look at Liverpool, there's no phase of play where you can say, OK, they're going to do this, and that's going to happen. Right now, it's quite all over the place.
Sorry, Dan, but I think we said before the show, I think you said, and you mentioned there a little bit, we don't know what Liverpool are, but is the point that we do know what they are, and it's what we're seeing? Because it's not going to be like Klopp, and we can't be a club who continue for the next 5 or 10 years saying, oh, we want Jurgen Klopp club football. The fella's a genius. He does that football better than anybody. So whatever manager's going to come in, he's going to play his football. The worry is not that there's no identity. That is the identity. that Liverpool, don't forget, Arne Slot's a Dutch coach, Dutch way of doing things, possession, technical football. You think of the players that are being brought in, they're not Klopp players. So when people keep saying about like, oh, it's the recruitment upstairs, well, that was the recruitment team who were there with Klopp. They're bringing different style of players in. So it's on the manager that. And I go back to last year when Liverpool didn't sign anybody, but the one player he wanted was Zubamendi. Again, another technical footballer. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't work. The most successful team in the Premier League the last 10 years have been a technical football team. But we're going away from what Jurgen Klopp was because this manager wants that. This is where he's taken this team, and that's the worry for me is this actually going to go more the other way, or are we thinking Liverpool need to go back to last season, or does Arne Slot thinking, no, we actually need more technical football?
I don't think so. I think they need a defensive midfielder.
But you're talking about players, but you also want about, you don't know about style and identity, but don't you all, you want your teams to be dogged, robust, hard to beat. Like, that's 11 defeats now for Liverpool, having won the league last year. Like, that's... I think like a shocking stat. 11 losses.
They're down a defensive midfielder for me. First thought being to stop attacks. Gravenberch, prior to last season, wasn't looked at as the solution. He's come in last year. The manager's got the absolute best out of him, and they've won the Premier League. But they're still facing the same issues they faced 2 seasons prior, which was we need a defensive midfielder. To Jamie's point, he talked about Zubamendi. Zubamendi's profile works, but I think the type of player Liverpool need is a protector in there, that their first thought is to maybe stop attacks happening, and right now they don't do that very well.
I agree with you, John. That's exactly what I want, but I go back to when Jurgen Klopp wanted that, he went and signed Fabinho. That's a different profile to a Zubamendi. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about when you've got different types of managers. Yes, Liverpool need a holding midfield player. They've been trying to buy one for the last 4 or 5 years. But it's what type of holding midfield player that you want.
But within that framework, Gary, today, would there be individual performances that Liverpool should be worried about from that 11?
Yeah, I don't watch Liverpool as much as these two, but I've been quite supportive, obviously, of Slot and not seeing this sort of what would be drab football that Liverpool fans or sometimes Carragher and Daniel have described. But for the first time watching him in that first half today, I thought you probably should be worried, because when you look on the bench, I do think there is an element of Liverpool, though. We can't rewrite history of what we all thought at the start of the season, where we were all predicting them to win the league or get close. We were either having them first or second, all of us, probably.
No, I didn't.
I think we all pretty much said, though, Liverpool would be first or second. And to me, if you look at it, they wanted Frimpong to replace Alexander-Arnold. They wanted Kerkez to replace Robertson. They wanted, obviously, the front players, Salah to repeat his season from this year. They thought Ekitike and Isak would score probably 60 goals between them, and Wirtz would just probably tuck in either off the left or in that midfield position and be a sensation. It hasn't worked, so the recruitment hasn't worked, and obviously there's been injuries as well. So they have tried to, I think, just to be fair, from last season, replace the players that they knew were ageing or needed to be replaced, and those players that have come in other than Ekitike really haven't settled. Kerkez and Frimpong have not been anywhere near the levels of Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold at the best. Salah has been nowhere near the level of the previous Mo Salah. Ekitike and Isak have been nowhere near the levels of Diaz probably, and Jota, and obviously Firmino or whatever it was a couple of years ago. So they just haven't settled in yet, the players that they've actually signed. And I can't work out whether it's a really bad situation for Liverpool or whether they just need to be patient and let these players emerge next season and become the players that maybe they think
Is that an individual problem or is that a coaching problem?
Well, listen, Liverpool fans right now will say it's a coaching problem. But then that was the coach last year who won Liverpool the league. And he did all this idea that it was Klopp's team. Well, Klopp didn't win the league with it the year before. He didn't buy anyone. He changed things around slightly. But Gravenberch played Diaz through the middle, got a lot more from him. Got a lot more than Mo Salah, Jurgen Klopp had done maybe a couple of years before, giving Mo Salah almost like a free role. But what Gary's saying, and I agree, and this is what the hierarchy at Liverpool will tell you, they've bought talented players, they have. Now, besides Trent and Frimpong, because Trent's a better player than Frimpong, wherever they've replaced other players, there's no doubt the more talented the players they've got now, but they're less industrious. So obviously we had the tragic situation with Jota, but you think of Jota as a player, you think of Núñez as a player, you think of Diaz as a player. Not the greatest players in the world.
Don't stop running.
But they don't stop running, they don't stop working. Now, is Isak a better player? Is Ekitike more technical? Is Wirtz a better player? It's sort of technically. We'd say yes. But there's definitely something missing, and that's what I talk about, changing the team and the profile of the team. But the one player, when you're saying, who I think's had a very easy ride, Florian Wirtz, and I think we shouldn't be just, I've never moved clubs, lesser known in terms of moving country as well. But I think we've really sort of giving him time and come on, what are you going to do?
We've been kind to him, haven't we?
Very, very kind
What
to
did
him.
you think of him today?
We should. He was poor today, and even if Liverpool play really well, it's still Szoboszlai, and even at times this season, Salah. Salah hasn't been the Salah of last season, but he's still been one of Liverpool's best attackers. I commentated on Liverpool away at Burnley. I think it was about the 4th or 5th game of the season, and I described Florian Wirtz as being neat and tidy, and I was trying to be kind then. I wouldn't describe him as anything different right now. He's a year into his Liverpool career.
I think that the issue is there is a transitional phase happening right now, and it's difficult to see.
Not just for Wirtz.
No, I'm talking about the whole. That's what I'm talking about. I'm saying that when I look at the team, I think they're in a transitional phase where, from an attacker's point of view, right, whenever I've been at my best or whenever I felt an attacker's been at his best, there's been consistency, there's been individuals knowing how to get the best out of each other. I think when I look at Wirtz needs a connection with players. He hasn't built a connection yet with the attackers. You look at Bruno today and it's like, I know where runs are going now. I'm going to play that first time around the corner to Šeško and he's going to go on the end of it. You don't really see... You see maybe one game and then it will go for 4 or 5. And I think with Wirtz, having natural centre forwards next season, obviously Mo Salah's going to move on, right? He's got to be building a connection with Isak. That's got to be the first.
Daniel, do you think he's got? I think he's got the talent. Do you think he's got the personality, Wirtz, on the pitch? You think about Bruno, 19 assists, and Bruno sometimes we've had a go at him for his personality, but what you can't deny is his personality. He has got a personality. He stands up there and he actually puts himself out there on the pitch. His character's there for everyone to see. Has he got that personality, Wirtz, to be able to go and grab a game or to be that player? That's the only thing I don't see quite now. Now, he is youngish, but has he got the personality?
I think you'd have to give him a bit more time.
Yeah, but you have to give him
I think he does.
I think so.
I think he
years
does.
ago, we mentioned him long. There was players like that in attacking position or midfield. People like Modric, going back years ago, the first year or two, you'd be writing these lads off and then they end up being great players. So I think there is a talent there. But I agree with Daniel. He's got to build up some sort of relationship with some attacking players, another pre-season, and a stronger-looking Liverpool next year.
Virgil, what's your reaction to that? It's a brave fight back from Liverpool, but no points in the end to show for it.
A brave fight, yeah. Well, I think when you come back from 2-0 down, of course, that's a positive. But it's losing here that hurts, obviously. And the manner we did as well, I think. So, disappointing day, again.
Why do you think the first half was so tough?
Obviously, when you come 2-0 down, obviously it's always tough. Obviously, the first on the set piece, the other one, obviously on the break. Whether it's handball, yes or no, is something to debate.
Did you think it was?
Obviously, I can't really see it that fast, but if the referee tells me that they're checking quite long for it, then I was obviously very intrigued, and I didn't see it back, but that doesn't take away that we weren't threatening whatsoever. I don't think we created actually in the first half, especially any chances. Not really runs in behind. Obviously, it was always going to be difficult without recognized strikers. But second half, obviously, we come back, obviously due to some mistakes by them, but still the fight was there. We tried with possession, but it wasn't enough, and to concede then a ball that's on the edge of the box of a defensive action, I think, and that's obviously disappointing.
What was said at half-time?
Well, play much better than the first half and try to score the first goal as soon as possible, and obviously that goal, the 2-1, obviously helps mentally as well. I think for them obviously it's a blow, and obviously then to score the equalizer, obviously that settles the game, and then the game can go anywhere. I think we had obviously the possession, but you can't have just possession, and you need shots on targets. You need create chances, and we didn't do that too much there.
You've obviously still got a pretty significant cushion heading into these final games to qualify for the Champions League. Is it just about now getting the job done as quickly as possible and trying to rebuild and move on to next season almost?
Yeah, that's the reality at this point. It's been a very, very disappointing season, below standards of Liverpool, and we shouldn't accept it. But it is the reality, so we have to make sure that we got Champions League football for next year, and then after World Cup we have to build to a much better much better season than what we're having at the moment.
Thank you, Virgil.
Thank you.
Interesting. He knows where they need to improve. Do you?
Well, as we've said, you can look at any team, and it's been Manchester United's case. You get stopped in the street all the time. What's going on with Manchester United for the last 10 years? The only person that stops me in the street now is, what's going on with Liverpool now? You know, and everybody has different, are they the signings? Or was it the Jota scenario at the start of the season? Is it the manager's not good enough? Is it, that they don't gel? Is it that they've had so many injuries? You could actually, and if you ask 10 different supporters or 10 different people, they will all give you but a lot of the time it's not one thing. It never is one thing. If it was one thing, a magic wand come in and just sort it, it'd be obvious to everybody. And football is, let's look at Manchester United. All of a sudden, you bring in a different manager, you go back to a formation that the players that play the positions and that know what positions they're in, and Bruno, for example, playing in a familiarity of positions. So all of a sudden you just add 2 or 3 different things, and all of a sudden confidence grows, and now all of a sudden players that you thought were pretty average, and all those people that you said, hey, who's buying all these players? They need to be sacked. Hang on a minute, they've bought some good players now. Now people are starting to say, well, look at the the likes of Šeško and so it just slowly starts coming and the snowball starts rolling. Now Liverpool know what it takes to win the league. They absolutely breezed the league last season, so they know what it takes, and these players have felt it, they know it, and a lot of them have been in that dressing room for a long time.
Can I take you back to the very first game of the season when we were pitchside at Anfield against Bournemouth, and all 4 of the summer buys went straight in? And we were discussing this about almost half the outfield players that had won the league had been changed for the very first game of the season. And since then, I know they started the season pretty well, 4 or 5 wins in a row.
But they weren't playing well, were they?
No, they haven't really got any collective momentum, have they?
And again, there's another scenario. Is that the reason? Is that the reason that he tried to
too much too soon?
Too much too soon. Possible, yeah, absolutely possible. But there's so many different things. That's the point I'm trying to make. There's so many different things that you could say is the reason. But yes, he changed a lot. Like, I thought Andy Robertson was pensioned off too soon. I didn't think they needed to bring in a new left back, really. Maybe cover, yes. Especially when you were losing Trent anyway. Especially when you were losing Diaz anyway. Especially when you were losing Darwin Núñez. And, there was players that were changing anyway. So just to compound that by bringing in players that you didn't really need to bring in. And then obviously things don't go well. And then players start playing worse than they have in the past. So, your Mo Salahs, your Van Dijks, your Canates, your McAllisters all start to go downhill, let's say, or their numbers suggest that. And then all of a sudden you've got a big problem. And as I say, as quick as things can go right and start snowballing, things can slip away. One mistake, and it leads to another mistake, and another mistake, and another, and then confidence goes, and then it's all over. And then you start chopping and changing, and your head starts, and that's what's happened as well. So, a reset is exactly what Liverpool need at the moment. They've still got players in that squad that are good enough to challenge for the league title, no question about it. As I say, it doesn't take a person with a great memory to remember how good they were, a year ago. And they've been here before, by the way, as well. They've won the league the next season, absolute howler of a season, and then they bounce back again. So they will know that they can do it. They just need to get this season out of the way and start preparing again.
Because the numbers, when you look at them for league champions, and obviously the heights that they hit last season, that are currently gone to this season, Berber, is quite staggering, really. I mean, they're 8 wins less. I only lost 4 last season. 11, as I say, is their worst total in 11 years. Scored quite a lot of goals less, conceded 6 more. I mean, obviously the points are well down. I mean, it's not just a slight to medium change, that, is it?
It is, but again, to agree with everything that Michael said, in football it is like that. Sometimes you're the champion one year, the next year you're fighting for survival or barely playing any European football. I've been through this the same in Germany. One year we're playing Champions League football, the next year be relegated. So it is very strange. Sometimes in football you cannot find the right answer or the wrong answer. It's a component of many things going in and around the club. Is it an injury crisis? Is it player out of shape and form? Is it changing of the manager? Many factors can lead to that instability in a club, and you start wondering, start taking decisions, then decision end up not being the right one, then another one and another one, and in the end up, you don't play great football, the season is pretty much over, you're not in a position you want to be, and you don't have the answer. So you just want the season to finish on the right way, and then you can't wait to start the new one, so to recover and make amends for the one before.
OK, and what we do understand and we think is that Arne Slot will still be the Liverpool manager next season. Let's turn it to who will be the Manchester United manager next season then. Michael Carragher's come in with somebody else's players, no pre-season, most points in that period. He's delivered now today confirmation of Champions League football. He's beaten every single member of the top 5 around him. Is there a reason not to give him the job?
I think we know the answer here. Unless, for me, I know the answer. I think I said it before the game started that with the work he has put in and everything he's done for the club, everything you mentioned so far, he fully earned the chance to be given to him for the next season. And I hope that's going to be the case because based on the interview Kobe Mainoo gave after the game as well, if he was speaking from the behalf of everybody in the team, like I was hearing, I think that he was speaking from the behalf of everybody. I mean, everybody loves him. Everybody wants to play for him, die for him, obviously on the pitch, go out there and perform. And it's obvious based on the points, the most points after he stepped into the position. So let's hope, at least I hope that he's going to stay. Of course, football doesn't work like this sometimes, but everything points out to him being and staying as the position of the manager.
And it keeps Liverpool waiting as well. Any doubt in your mind whether Manchester United deserved it or not, Daniel?
No, not after the first half performance. I think they edged it, didn't they? And I think they were more decisive when they needed to be. It could have gone the other way. Liverpool had a great chance in the second half, and if that goes in the back of the net, it's a very different game, and the complexion changes. And Man United are chasing, but I think overall they soaked up the pressure while Liverpool dominated the possession, as we saw in the statistics. But like I said before the game, statistics and possession and all of that, it's irrelevant. It's about scoring goals and getting results.
Certainly felt like Manchester United had to dig into their reserves at 2-2.
Yeah, even at 2-2, we can be critically United for giving up, losing that momentum and almost obviously gifting the 2 goals. But then to wrestle it back, and I still felt with the team, there was a bit of calmness. I still thought if anyone was going to win it, it'd be United. You still felt there were that goal threat. Now, United would also be lucky that there was no Salah or one of Liverpool's top strikers on the pitch, because I think they would have certainly created more problems for United. So we've seen the best and the worst of United today. Scored 3 goals, could have scored more, but they lost momentum. They're 2-0 up, and you're thinking, at half-time, you're thinking, we also want to see a complete United performance. We're just seeing bits and bobs over the last few months. But again, they gifted certainly the second goal, and even the first goal, even when they make the mistake of it away cheaply, to run that distance and no one put a tackle in, it's not good. So they're the worries for United. You're on about the bigger picture next year in terms of competing in the Champions League. But to score 3 goals and get the job done, you have to give them all the credit.
Was the best of Manchester United in that first half when they came flying out of the blocks and it looked like they could hurt Liverpool at any moment?
Yeah, very much so. They came out the blocks very fast. We were all over the place, and this opportunity here, the connection he gets on the ball was decent, but it's the deflection that causes the issues. Obviously, Robbo's header could have been a bit better than that, but it goes right to the edge of the box to Cunha, and the first one there, but it's this here. You see the deflection off of Alex McAllister's backside, and it's in the back of the net.
And we can kind of say Liverpool, like, you could look at it in a different way. Liverpool could say we're a bit unlucky. It's not unlucky, that it's a poor header, it's poor defending, people not putting, and even this part, McAllister giving the ball away cheap and then chasing it, not good enough. And of course, then you've got space, you've got numbers, you've got United players running forward.
Is there a lot to like though about Manchester United attacking play
very
here?
Good, very good. That's not the issue for Man United. United were always going to cause problems for Liverpool today, whether they were dominant possession or, as we saw in that play there, maybe hitting them on the counter-attack. And defensively, again, fullback's not doing the job. Bruno getting in there, Sesko standing there. Yeah, maybe a fortune, it might have come off his fingernail, shall we say. But United started so quickly. They've learned their lesson from a couple of weeks ago against Leeds. You've got to start quickly. And a helping hand, shall we say.
A little bit of a helping hand. VAR again, if you weren't watching at half-time, said there's inconclusive evidence. Liverpool were pretty convinced that this does go in off Šeško's hand, but all the replays that we've seen, Daniel, that's probably the one that might suggest there's a bit of fingernail involved.
Yeah, that's the one there, and I think there's a connection on the ball. There clearly is. Again, they've decided it's not enough to overturn it, which is fair, but it touches, you can see it right there, boom. Even his hand, you see his hand movement, you see his hand moves. So,
but even when
he's touched the ball, but again, would it have gone in the back of the net if it not touched his hand?
Well, if it comes off his hand, it can't be a goal. So if they thought that was conclusive, that would have been chalked off.
Well, we just saw the touch.
But even when you turn up for these games, here we're talking about defending Robertson and McAllister, you still need your experienced players to at least do the basics right. And McAllister had a nightmare today. And even Robertson, the first half, for a couple of goals. Experienced players not doing the basics right. And then they couldn't quite... Well, they did get back into the game, but you always felt United had another goal in them.
Was it a case of a little bit of a helping hand, perhaps, for Manchester United there, but then Manchester United giving Liverpool a helping hand coming out? Because I suppose we were a bit surprised that Liverpool didn't change things, but it didn't impact them too much, Daniel.
Not at all, and great interception here, of course. Looking around which decision he's going to make. It's got the ability to take somebody on, and it's a very calm and collected finish, goes through the legs. What we're talking about here in these areas here, you got to keep it easy, keep it safe. It's a poor pass, of course, and off they go. And it's
but when you make a mistake like that, which can happen, you want one of your teammates to help you out. You talk about defenders, Maguire and Dalot.
What do you want to see from Maguire and Dalot here?
Make better decisions.
Like
even
what?
Dalot, do you mean like what? Like
what?
Tackling him. Here, look at Dalot. Not that intensity. Look, people go, oh, it's gone through his legs. I don't think them bits are unlucky. I think that's just not getting your positioning right, not being dogged. No, credit to Liverpool from an attacking point of view. Oh, listen, he's ran 40, 50 yards, and when they made a mistake. But these are international defenders.
Let's have another look at
what
it,
you saying? What they're supposed to... Well, do more than what they've done. They end up not touching him. Because, okay, it's a poor mistake. Obviously, you just come on, sloppy. And then you go, what? So he's going to run 40, 50, 60 yards without someone making a tackle? Maguire's got to do better. I don't know where Dalot's going. Even then, Dalot makes that run. He's got to go with the runner. But then if you make a decision to go to the ball, do it properly.
I think the thing is here is how many men have committed forward. It's one pass and boom, they're right at him.
Yeah, but it's at this moment, it's 2v3, 3v3 maybe, 3v... But the top defenders, you have to deal with that. You know what?
Nah, but I fancy myself. I fancy myself there, Roy, though. If I'm subbers like here, I'm saying, cool, let's have it now. Me, mano y mano. I've got the ability to take you on. You think?
But you know what? And you know, yeah, of course.
I've won the battle. That's it.
I couldn't agree more. Your mindset would be, I'm going past you. But if you're a top defender, you're going, oh,
let's have it now. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Let's have it. And obviously, he's got the better ones. So that's why you have to be critical of defenders. 1v1 or 2v2, you at least put pressure on the shot. Just don't let him pull the trigger.
So as attacking player, you would welcome the fact if they don't make a tackle because you're pushing them further back to their...
You know what he's thinking, Daniel? Yeah, you know when he's running. You know when he's running with the ball. I bet he's thinking, I'll just keep going.
I'm keep going. It's like at some point you have to go as a defender. For me, make my mind up for me. If you allow me to run with the ball all the way like that and get to the edge of the box and just have to do not even a step over, not even a crazy fast move where I'm exploding past you. It was literally just a little shimmy of the left foot, move it to the left, and then boom, you have an easy shot like that. It was an easy opportunity.
And if you make a decision, you might go, I mightn't get the ball, but I'm taking the man down because you got bodies. Even give the foul away. Make a sacrifice for the team.
It's that, isn't it? How rare is it now that we see just a professional foul? You know what, boys,
get me a yellow card.
Take my yellow.
And we'll regroup,
You shout at everyone, you go, boys, listen, what we doing here, boom, 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 and it's done. But as you see, they're retreating instantly. Kobe's trying to get back. I think it's Amaz that's trying to get back. Yeah. And it's like, okay, we'll wait. But it's too easy, bro.
And it's a crucial moment in the game because it's so early into the second half. Manchester United think maybe the game is won. Suddenly Liverpool are alive. And then you start to see Manchester United getting a bit jittery, making unforced errors.
Oh, yeah. No, listen, mate. Don't get me started here, you know what I mean? It's bizarre. You're playing Liverpool home. They've pulled one back. Just honestly, just go along. What's the benefit of that pass? It's too risky. Liverpool, no, again, what defines a player will you be your decision making? And the goalkeeper's done brilliant for him. Let's not be too harsh on him.
I think that's his first.
That's led to a goal, of course. So obviously we're going to go easy on him. But when you're under pressure, you see Liverpool pressing. Just miss him out.
Just a wonderful touch there from Szoboszlai as well, wasn't it? In that sort of heated moment, just to cue up Gary.
Saw the goalkeeper, his body shifted. He realised, like, oh, I'm in no man's land here. I thought that Szoboszlai was
shifted. Shifted.
No, shifted. Come on, guys. It's Super Sunday, baby. I ain't that crazy now. You know your boy lives on the edge. You're not that bad. But yeah, no, it was a really nice touch and very measured from him, because in that moment, people panic. They're in the box. I've got a bit of time. It's a big game. We can go 2-2. He just makes the right decision immediately, and even for Gakpo to change his feet quickly looks very easy, as it should be for top players to put it in the back of the net. But in that moment, some people panic sometimes. So fair play to him for keeping his head cool.
Weeks go for one of their own. It doesn't get much better than that, does it?
It doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, it's a fairy tale for him, because academy player moving up the ranks, playing. He had his difficult moments with the previous manager, but now again, fully reborn, and today he showed exactly why he's playing every minute, every game. He's been fantastic.
And he's shown a lot of mental strength in that period under the previous manager as well, didn't he?
Well, it must have been really difficult for a young player like him to not even get a look in. I mean, he wasn't even getting brought on half the time, and certainly not starting. So it was, it would have challenged him, and actually probably strengthened him as well for the future, knowing that this is what can happen. But I really like you. I mean, you use the word mental. I love his mentality. You know, just in his interview there, he's very calm and cool and understand. And even the way he plays he's not an emotional play. You know, I just like him. I like I mean, there can't be many players in midfield, certainly many English players playing as well as him now in the Premier League. He's one of the best players in the Premier League in his position at the moment. It's been an incredible season, or second half of the season for him, and you can only see now his career really flourishing. He's been given a long-term contract. He's an integral part of that team and the manager's plans. I can just see things going from strength to strength, and he could develop into... He's already a very, very good player, but he could develop into a top-class one.
Yeah, and he's still only 21, just turned, let's not forget. What he said there about Michael Carrick, not just him, but all the team, we'd do anything and die on the pitch for him.
That speaks volume of what Michael Carragher has done for the team. When you have players speak so highly of you as a manager, it shows that you transform the team and you know how to give your message to the players and they can put it onto the pitch, which is great, because this is exactly what United needed after the start of the season, and they were not performing well. So it's credit again to the training staff and Michael Carrick to put that belief into the player. And the words of Kobe Mainu, you know, it's a proof that the right thing are happening in the team right now.
He was due a goal. He said that himself. He could do with increasing his numbers. Only 4 Premier League goals in his career. 2 of them have now come against Liverpool, his first for almost 2 years. And you enjoyed this finish, didn't you?
Yeah, it was, again, using the word cool, calm, it was placed. It was, you know, he knew exactly what he was doing. You don't need to blast it. You don't need to just think of hitting the ball straight and down the keeper's throat, hitting the target or whatever. No, that is lovely controlled finish into the corner. Goalkeeper, if you execute this properly, then the goalkeeper gets nowhere near it. You score every time. Too many people think it's just about hitting the ball and hitting it on target and smacking the leather off the ball. It's not. This is cool, calm. He places it. You've got so much room there. If you just keep your head down, keep your knee over the ball and punch it down into the ground with the side of your foot, you get enough pace on it with the side of your foot. He meant absolutely everything about that finish, right into the corner, impossible to save.
Someone like your good self would sincerely appreciate that, Berber.
No, I did. And in his case, he started the attack, he finished the attack, calm, collected. He was following the play, the movement of the ball. He didn't rush. He was timing his positioning correctly. And in the end, the ball ended up in his feet. As Michael said, he doesn't necessarily need to hit with so much power sometimes, just inside of the boot, and he's going to do the job.
They need 4 points from their last 3 games to be sure of being back in the Champions League again next season. 11 defeats this season. That's their worst in 11 years. Never mind as defending champions. When he says they've got to be much better next season, that's something of an understatement, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, and listen, they're the reigning champions. If you say to every Liverpool fan, Arne Slot's taken over from Jurgen Klopp and you're going to qualify for the Champions League in one season, you're going to win the league the next season, you take that. That's amazing, you know. But it's not like Liverpool have won the Premier League dozens of times. So It's just that the here and the now is disappointing, because probably it's gone the wrong way round for Liverpool fans in many ways. Lots of injuries, lots of problems, off the pitch, on the pitch, started in the worst possible way, of course, with a horrific scenario with Diogo Jota, and there's been problem after problem after problem throughout the season for Liverpool. So back to the drawing board. I don't think it's something that necessarily another £400 million is going to solve.
What do you think would help then?
Well, I think just having a break, having a refresh, getting everybody back fit and healthy again. Of course, some of those big signings, somebody like Isak, has been a huge miss.
Can I just ask you, though, Arne Slot said in his pre-match interview there, we make the decision, a bit like Pep Guardiola, we don't like a big squad. We like quality rather than numbers. But when you do get this type of injury list, and you look at that bench today for a Liverpool team going to Old Trafford for a game of this magnitude, do they need more strength in depth if, as expected, they're still in the Champions League next season?
Hindsight is obviously a wonderful thing. So you would say yes in the scenario that they're in at the moment with a lot of injuries, but that will not be the case under Arne Slot, because he's already said he prefers a smaller squad, and you take your chances. Because a big squad can give you a lot of problems.
But is there enough quality and depth to those smaller numbers? That's the point I'm asking.
That's the key. You've got to have a quality 17, 18 players, let's say. Make it up with a few kids, a few promising kids, and take your chances. If you get a load of injuries, then it's obviously a problem. If you don't, then you have a real tight-knit squad. There's not many problems in terms of leaving people out. You can give enough players enough game time, and everybody's a lot happier. Having a big bloated squad is not always the answer. That can cause as many problems as having a small squad and a few injuries. So that's the way he likes it. That's the way he's going to do it. And I've got no problem with that. Of course, you've got to keep everybody fit, and that's been a problem.
But he's got two obvious holes to fill in, Robertson and Salah.
He has, yeah. He's going to have to do some surgery to the team, absolutely. But, I mean, they spent an awful lot of money in the summer. So, money doesn't grow on trees at Anfield. And absolutely, there will be one or two players leaving, and they're going to have to... I mean, having spent all that money on the attack, and now with Salah going, it leaves a gaping hole. In fact, there's already less options than there were last season. I think they lost sort of 3 and brought in 2 attacking players. Rio Ngamoa's obviously come and plugged a little gap, but he's still a young lad. But on the right-hand side, that's a massive hole that they've got to fill. Is Keargher good enough to take on the mantle? He's probably going to be given the season, but they might have to have cover there as well. People like Virgil van Dijk, they're not getting any younger. They're going to have to start thinking, and they are thinking. They've bought a couple of young players in that position. Whether Canate signs or not is another question mark. So there's a little bit of work to be done. Of course there is to the squad, but in general, I think that the majority of people fit, firing and ready to start a new season.
In terms of today, is it as simple, like Virgil van Dijk, to say that they didn't have a recognised striker, so any team would miss Salah, Ekitike and Isak?
Well, in their case, for sure, but still, when you're a good enough team with good players, you will find a way to play without that type of striker, shadow striker or false 9 or whatever. And still today, Kobe Gagbo scored a goal, right? So it was a good start for the second half for them. But I don't think that's an excuse in a way that you should not win games. In football, you get injuries, someone needs to step up, score goals, and then you continue with it. So in the case of Liverpool, I think they have a good squad, good players. Yes, some of their big names are getting older, or maybe Salah is leaving, but still good enough quality, especially if Isak is back, Ekitike is back. I like Florian Wirtz as well, even though he's still finding his footing. But in attack, I think they have enough quality.
Yeah, I mean, Isak's the one, isn't he? Because he's hardly been on the pitch. I mean, he almost, if he's fit and firing, he will be going to the World Cup with Sweden. He will be like a new signing, really, because Liverpool fans have hardly seen him.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's just bad luck. He was scoring a goal, a bad challenge, he breaks his leg. I mean, that can happen in football. It's just bad luck. The problem is as well, though, with a long-term injury, everybody thinks, he'll be back in, X time. It takes ages. It takes another month or 2 to get back up to real sharpness and fitness. And how many times do we see somebody that's coming back from a long-term injury? We've seen it with Rodri over the last sort of few months, just starting now to see the old Rodri. Everybody that has a big injury, it takes a little while. And the vast majority pick up another little injury along the way when they're coming back, a little hamstring or a little groin, you're out 2 or 3 weeks again. It's your muscles getting used to the rigours of it all again. So that's what's going to happen. You're not going to see Isak. If any Liverpool fan thought Isak could come back and then it'd be brilliant for the next six weeks of the season or the remaining game and then go and shoot the lights out in the World Cup, you're sadly wrong. I mean, if he can start next season in good form, having played in a World Cup or whatever, then that would be a bonus because, you know, he's going to have to play himself. And then, of course, you've got Ekitike and that's torn Achilles tendon. I mean, that's a horrific injury. That's going to, I would guess he's going to be missing the start of next season as well, which is awful because he's been probably the shining light, him and Szoboszlai, all season. So, you know, these problems might be creeping over into next season as well. But I think from Liverpool fans' point of view, Liverpool play, everybody just wants to finish this season, get the Champions League tied up, go away, some of them to the World Cup, and then come back refreshed and firing again.
That's the crucial thing, that they haven't really got they need 4 more points, but they haven't really got a fight on their hands, a nervous one, to make sure of Champions League football next season.
For sure, but again, I will repeat myself, I think they have enough quality into the team to know how to handle the situation like this. And in the end of the day, probably they'll qualify for the Champions League football. But the most important thing while I was listening to Michael, again, comes down to when you have difficult and hard injuries, then how do you manage that? If your squad is tight, how Slot is liking it, but then how do you recover and cover for the injuries of the player? Doesn't that mean that you need a bigger squad then, a bit more, to cover for that type of injuries when it happens? So these questions need to be answered, because when it happens, like Isak with Ekitike, and your squad is tight, who is going to cover for them? If you have so many games to play, if you qualify with the Champions League as well. So there is no right or wrong question probably here, like in football is, but they need to be very careful. And I agree, players need to be back for the next season, ready to fire, and, you know, go and, if they qualify, play for the Champions League, for the Premier League, because Liverpool is one of the best teams in the Premier League. So, of course, this season they will try to finish as soon as possible, hopefully qualify for the Champions League, and let's hope everybody is healthy and fit for the next season.